This stock is 6 to 10% away from its 52-week high, which it scaled in December of 2021. On January 2024, the firm announced its highest ever quarterly EBITDA and net profit, along with plans to expand globally. Is this stock a compelling bet to ride the electric vehicle trend? तो शुरू करते हैं एक अनबायस्ड कवरेज जस्ट बेस्ड ऑन फैक्ट्स ऑन द लीडिंग ऑटोमोटिव एंसिलरी एंड डिफरेंशियल असेंबली कंपनी सोना BLW प्रिसिशन फोर्जिंग लिमिटेड. My name is Ashish Thomas and I am an IIM graduate and a management consultant. My daily job is to evaluate firms, understand their risks and anticipate market moves. And I thought, why not apply all of this to the stock market? So here we are and let's jump right in. Any good analysis needs to begin with an understanding of the industry. What is the market size? The growth rate, the emerging trends, the key players. From here, we'll understand what does the company do. कोई competitive advantage है क्या? क्या इनके पास एक solid long-term vision है? Are there some big news in the market? The next is we understand its financials. इस कंपनी का revenue growth कैसा है? Is it profitable? ये अपने long-term investment कहाँ से करता है? Among other things. उसके बाद any market investment has its own risk. So does investing in the company. Let us understand what can stop the bullish growth of this firm? And finally, no matter the strategy, the vision, the financials, is it really priced right in the market? Or is it too expensive at the moment? With that preamble, let us dive in to understand the winds of change in this industry. When we say auto ancillary, think of all the supporting equipments that are used to build the final vehicle. Tires, brakes, suspension, batteries. This is the industry that we are talking about. This auto ancillary industry globally is expected to grow at 6% annually or CAGR or CAGR, almost touching $940 billion by 2028. Major reasons for this growth include an uptick in the vehicle ownership accelerated by growing middle class and post-COVID safety concerns, popularity of connected cars or autonomous cars, increasing demand of electric vehicle or its components, and then a regulatory-driven focus on increased safety for both passenger and commercial vehicles. In India, auto ancillary industry actually accounts for 2.3% of the entire Indian GDP and it is expected to touch 150 billion by 2028, growing at a 14.7% CAGR, much higher than the global growth. इसके भी 2-3 reasons हैं. काफी sustained demand है market में. 6 lakhs तो सिर्फ EV based vehicles planned है by 2025. Second, there's a favorable trade policy which allows 100% FDI investment. There are, under the Atmanirbhar 3.0 Bharat scheme, there are production-linked schemes which have been launched. And finally, India as a steel market is the second largest producer in the world. So, our cost base is almost lower by 10 to 25% compared to EU or Latin America. So, काफी exports होते हैं हमारे Japan, EU, Korea, जहाँ major car brands हैं. And under the production-linked scheme, 25,000 crores has been laid out for the automobile and auto component sector, which is all going to contribute to the growth of this entire industry. अब आपको दिखाते हैं some examples of the companies which are there and the components. अब अगर आपकी गाड़ी लेंगे and we'll tear it apart, we will or we might get wiring work from Motherson Sumi, batteries from Exide, engine and transmission from Sundaram Fasteners या Sona BLW. The assembly का forging या gears are from Bharat Forge or our company Sona BLW. On the right शायद आपके windshield is coming from Asahi Glass. आपके axles are from GNA Axles. The suspension from Jamna Auto and tires from the popular MRF. This is just an attempt to show you कि काफी सारी companies हैं जो they come together to make your car and this entire auto ancillary industry. And the bottom line is, as long there is a strong demand in the auto market, these auto ancillary companies will continue to rise. They face the same market cyclicity as the auto industry does and bear very similar risks. So all in all, काफी sunrise industry है the entire auto ancillary industry. Let's go to our next section, which is understanding the company and what it does. We start with a quick glance on some of the highlights of the products by our firm. We'll then move on to what the moats are and what gives the competitive edge to our stock. Then we'll take a deep dive into the range of its products, followed by the published business strategy which is there. And finally, we will spend time understanding what are some of the news that this firm has been making in the market in the last 1 year. कोई mergers and acquisitions हैं, कोई नई factory खड़ी की है, any corporate action that has happened. So Sona BLW is a well-known global brand for designing, developing and manufacturing differential gears, differential assemblies and starter motors or traction motors. In the domestic market, the differential gear market specifically, Sona has more than 55% market share in personal vehicle, 85% market share in commercial vehicle, and 80% market share in tractor segment. Globally, in its EV differential assembly, it is around 8.7% and starter motors at 4.1%. So globally also it has a good presence in the market. The current order book has roughly grown by 10% from the previous quarters, is 9 times the FY23 revenue. इसका डिलीवरी को 2-3 साल लगेंगे to materialize, but it is already ensured FY23 revenues for next few years. And finally, 75% of इनका total overseas markets North America और EU से आता है. So very multi-market, multi-product firm. Now there are 3 things that gives Sona BLW its competitive edge. Sona एक cold warm forger है. Cold warm forging काफी precise होता है, high level of expertise चाहिए, which becomes a very natural barrier to entry. In fact, only 10% capacity in the entire country is dedicated to cold and warm forgings, and electric vehicles में तो ये requirement है. The second one is it maintains a strong emphasis on research and development. They have 300 plus resources dedicated across 3 centers, but what's more important, it spends 6% of its revenue on just R&D. The company is enhancing its capability further by investing in software development. And finally, they have really strong customer relationships. 15 plus years का रिश्ता है, तो इससे इनको continuous demand बना रहता है. Now let's look at, when we say gears, when we say motors, तो ये है view of what Sona BLW makes. This is only their electric vehicle segment. They also have the traditional engine segment also. And I can call a couple of these out. Number 11 that you see, that is integrated motor controller module. ये speed bumps and uneven roads को detect करता है और खुद से suspension adjust करता है. One being the traction motors, which is what starts up the electric vehicle. As another fact, इनका जो differential gear segment है, that contributes 32% to the revenue. The differential assembly segment contributes 23% to the revenue. And the starter motors, whether it's traction or the traditional ones, they contribute to the 40% of the entire revenue at Sona. The firm is very ambitious and has created a clear vision for the future. The EPIC strategy, which we saw at the title of the video, is electrification, personalization, intelligence, and connectedness. This outlook ensures that the firm is in sync with all the changing technology advancements, changing consumer preferences, and need for a sustainable and efficient transportation solution. They are also trying to solidify their position as a partner of choice for the automakers by heavily focusing on R&D and becoming a technology leader worldwide. As of today, 7 out of top 10 global personal vehicle manufacturers, 3 of the top 10 global commercial vehicle manufacturers, 5 out of the top 10 EV manufacturers are already its partners. Through strategic diversification, इन्होंने multiple revenue streams खड़े किए हैं. इससे इनका dependency या risk काफी कम हो जाता है on any product, on any geography or a vehicle segment. In fact, management तो ये भी कह रही है कि कोई एक customer also should not contribute more than 15% of total revenue. And finally, there are entering into new horizons, investment in radar technology, launch of new gears, lightweight designs. They will all be driving the future of automotive autonomy and automation. And finally, let's look at some of the the areas where Sona BLW is making moves in the market. इन्होंने Novelic को acquire किया to move into the cutting-edge ADAS technology, that is advanced driver assistance with radar sensors. So as context, the ADAS sensor market is estimated to grow to 43 billion in next few years, and which is also going to be dominated by radar sensors. So they are in the right market right now. From here, they also signed a pact with Equipmake to use their patented technology to hire high-performance electric vehicles. उन्होंने पुणे plant बनाया, which is expected to produce 20.1 million gears by 2025. It would account for 30% of all the gears that the firm is producing. And finally, there is a new Mexican plant that is anticipated to be operational next year and will join the current manufacturing unit in that local geography. Now, this is about what the company is doing. Let's move on to the next section, which is the financials. Numbers don't lie. Before we go there, आपने काफी सारे stock analysis videos देखे होंगे, but a very few go into the kind of depth like we are doing today. In fact, as I was speaking earlier, when we go into the valuation section, you will see the numbers from my own model, which I've been using to invest. So please go like the video if you haven't already, and do subscribe, because I'll be launching a new company analysis every 3 days. We have 2,000 stocks and only 365 days. So काफी content आने वाला है. Some typing and a quick search later. This is Sona BLW's financials, right? So Sona grew by 34.4% CAGR between 2019 and 2023, resulting in revenues of 27 billion in 2023. In fact, they grew at a high growth of 26% last year too, performing much better than the industry, which was around at 21%. Historically, Sona BLW also has maintained a gross margin of 50 to 54% and an EBITDA margin of 24%. अब हमें ये याद रखना पड़ेगा that this entire industry is high capital intensive. So low EBITDA margin is a norm. Bharat Forge or endurance companies are only at 11%. Its net income margin stands at 15%. So while it is lower than last year of 17%, ये इनके competitors like Bharat Forge, Craftsman Automation से काफी ज़्यादा है, like 6 to 7%. In fact, December 2023 का quarterly reported revenue, EBITDA, PAT went on to beat all the analyst projections, driven by a healthy execution of its order book. Next up is on the operational front. Operating cash flow increased by 19%. The entire capex of $3.3 billion was incurred through internal accrual only. तो ये काफी reinvestment कर रहे हैं. Finally, the firm is also having a positive free cash flow and growing rapidly, which is why management has felt comfortable in its guidance to talk about another capex investment of $10 to $11 billion in the next 3 years. Next up is its ratios. So Sona BLW's debt to equity ratio is healthy post the capex stage in 2021. While its return on equity is on par, it's higher than the industry average of 12.4%. It has very good ROC and ROA also, both above the industry average. So overall, a very good, healthy financial performance. As we said earlier, it has low debt and high interest coverage, which means वो अपना loan खुद चुका सकते हैं. Debt to equity ratio being low ensures that the future debt can be sourced from equity or internally rather than an external source. And as indicated earlier, company काफी reinvestment करती है on its own internal opportunities. So there is an indication that the firm is seeing good growth opportunities in its market. Now, if you look at equity research analysts, folks who spend time understanding the market, they are predicting Sona BLW to grow at a median growth rate of 27%, EBITDA growth of 33%, and a PAT growth of 32%. With all the financial strength and the new production capacities globally, they are also anticipating the ratios to improve further. They're also bullish about the growth of the share price, 25% in 1 year. Reasons explained by them were the right products. They are having the right products to capitalize on the mega trends of electrification and premiumization. In India, we are already opting for better vehicles like bigger SUVs now. Global presence and a strong market share gains in several geographies. And a note on shareholders, the holding pattern is stable and there are no insider buying or selling additional shares on the market. Which means there is no, when you are selling shares or insiders are selling shares, it usually shows there are some risk in the company that they are anticipating. You must have also seen Blackstone Group exiting the share, but that उनके पूरे shares were picked up by the Singapore government. उनका जो sovereign wealth fund है, 6.5% ownership है currently, and other large institutions. From here, with every great investment comes some noteworthy risks. Almost 75% of companies' revenue comes from outside India, which makes it prone to foreign exchange risk. Second one is any slowdown in electrification of private vehicles can set Sona BLW back, as majority of its new orders are in the EV space. Sona faces substantial competition from global players. The company does not have the leading global share or the market share in any of the major product segments internationally. And any further rise in raw materials could, of course, impact the significant, financial performance. Finally, the most awaited section, or at least the most important thing for me as I think about stocks, the valuation. For simplicity, what I've done is, as last time, I've taken all the financial numbers and run into the valuation model that I created over time. And what I've created in this equity research world is called a football field. अगर आप equity research targets देखें तो their low is 505 and goes as high as 794. The median stands around 760, which is the 25% upside that they are claiming. When I ran the relative valuation and looked for some of the trading comparables, I used Bharat Forge, Bharat Gears, GNA Axles, Endurance Tech, Sundaram Fasteners, Denso Corp, and American Axles. And what you notice here is that in terms of the equity research targets and the trading comparables, there is an agreement that there is a potential growth for the stock. I'll also add that the stock is trading currently at 76x PE ratio, which is more expensive than its peer average PE of 61x. Based on FY25 earnings, PE, it is at 48x, which will be expensive, agreed, but it can be justified by the high growth prospects. However, by taking the future cash flows to do intrinsic valuation, the DCF method, which is अगर आप सिर्फ उनके financials देखो और उसके ऊपर project करो, what does it mean? With discounted cost of capital of around 11.7% and a long-term growth of 6.5%, the valuation comes in the range of 180 to 260, which is थोड़ा concerning. This is where finding a good price to enter the stock will become really important. So final thoughts. अगर आप लोगों को अच्छा लग रहा हो वीडियो तो जरूर लिखना what is it the next share that you want me to look into. And certainly, I'll also open my financial models and do a live valuation if there is enough interest. The goods. There is strong demand recovery in the market, loyal customer base, strong order book, and a dominant position to grow in the EV space. The focus on R&D investment ensures that the firm remains future ready and competitive. Now, what we dislike. There's high employee costs, raw material expenses, and a very low intrinsic valuation, which means one should wait for some market correction and start accumulating the stock with a long-term goal in mind. I think with that's my opinion that there are too many goods to Sona over the bads. And I believe that the bullish claims from equity research analysts seem to be justified also in this case. Behind the robust fundamentals, solid financial performance, and significant growth prospects which are there. With that, we come to the end of the session. That's all from me today. I hope this has given you some great starting point as you think about Sona BLW as a share. Do like the video. Please drop in a comment if you like something or anything that I should change. आपके comments काफी valuable रहेंगे as I continue to build this channel. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and please share the video with like-minded investors. Do note that I am not SEBI registered yet, and these are my independent views and analysis. So please do your research too and let me know what you feel about Sona BLW. Thank you.